says I'm at 30%. Hope I'm not live. If I am live, it's not my fault. I'm just going by the machine. And apparently now I'm live. Good day, everybody. My name is Todd Standing. I'm the man who takes people out into the field and has them either live interact with or eyewitness a Sasquatch. Wow, lots going on right now. Lots and lots to talk about today. I'm going to start out with my Facebook questions as always, and I'm expecting some tough, awesome, grinding, gritty, crazy questions that test the limits of my knowledge and abilities. I hope somebody stumps me. I hope somebody today says something that just blows my mind that I want to say, I have no idea what the answer to that question is. That's really what this show is about, actually, is people asking me questions that are so important that I don't know the answer to, and when I go out into the field, because that's mostly what I like to do, I can go get the answer to those questions. So I just wanted to talk about, so somebody was really asking me a lot about compassion, Sasquatch and compassion, and it was really hard for me to answer that question because I feel like they're so strong and they're such a powerfully assertive, overly assertive on the point of aggressive, powerful species that I don't really know if I've ever seen. I mean, I know people are making these good points that the Sasquatch have literally saved my life. The Sasquatch have applied, even just the injury that I had to my leg that day that they saved my life. A lot of people know about that story. I'm not going to go through it right now, but hey, Kyle, how's it going? Amanda Rick, anyways, I don't know. Compassion for my suffering. I feel like they help, but I just don't. They're so big about things. They're so powerful about things. You know, is it compassion when a bear charges at you and the Sasquatch know that the Sasquatch really are the ones that were more responsible for that situation. That's why the bear was coming after me, because of what they had done. So they just stopped that situation. My point is that it was a powerful question somebody asked me last week, and I really am going to say, like, I think they help. I know they help, but are they concerned? Yeah, I guess maybe they are. It's such a tough question for me because I see them as such big, dominating, beastly beings, highly intelligent, highly spiritual, absolutely amazing, gifted, but they're baptized in the fire. They fight. There's a dominant male that fights for his dominance. They're hunters. They kill with their bare hands. So I guess just thinking about it though and rolling through it in my head though, at the end of it, of course they're going to have compassion. I just really had to think. I really want to make sure I get that question right. And certain individuals are going to have more compassion than other individuals. And I've seen humor. I've seen them have fun. So if they can have fun, if they can see the humor in things, they have joy, they're devoted to one another, then yes, the answer is absolutely yes. I'm just trying to, I want to make things difficult on myself, and I want tough questions. So just rolling through that, I guess at the end of the day, just because you're big and strong, like a gorilla has compassion. I've seen female gorillas have compassion for babies. Elephants have compassion for dying individuals. So the more I think about it, the more I would absolutely say yes. How could a spiritually intelligent being that has such a rich personality not be compassionate? So I guess it's important for me that's a really important question, and I keep pushing that question because it's really something I got to get in my head, because it can really help my research move forward. So I have to go forward because and Royal Creations is one of the guys who really pushed me on that, and I'm very grateful. He was like, I think I said maybe I was leaning towards no last week, and he gave me heck. He's like, of course they are, and he had some really good points, and that's what this is all about. It's discussion. So you guys learn, but I learn too. I'll tell you, when you're a teacher, I mean, I'm a student first, and I know I teach, and I know I mentor a lot of people, but I'm taught too, and I'm mentored. And again, the number one thing about me, ultimately, number one thing is I'm a student of the Sasquatch, which is huge. It's absolutely enormous. It's a wonderful gift in my life. So A couple more Facebook questions that were really good, asking me about coyotes befriending Sasquatch. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen them. I've seen them get ticked off at coyotes. I saw a Sasquatch chase a coyote in Montana and chase it down and like outrun it. It was unbelievable. It happened so fast, my mind was just totally blown by it. And I've seen a couple other situations where the Sasquatch just whooped the coyote's ass. And whether there might not have, you know what too, is the coyotes were a problem in Montana because in Montana there's no wolves. I didn't think of that. That's not an appropriate ecosystem if you don't have wolves. When they reintroduced wolves into Yellowstone, man, those wolves, they killed most of the coyotes. They put balance back in it. It's very important, that balance, that the coyotes have their place, and they can't, if the wolves aren't there, they bump themselves up and they put themselves out of place. And I can see that happening more in Montana and places like that that don't have healthy wolf populations. I'm a huge proponent of wolves. I think very highly of wolves. So I know there's hunters hate it. Hunters hate the wolves. Let's be honest. They make them into these horrible monsters, and they want to kill them all the time, and they don't, you know what, they don't understand the equilibrium of nature. And actually I think they do, and they're just asses about it, because when the wolf population goes up, the elk population goes down, and then they can't hunt, and then they can't make money. So, but you're not the hunters are not the ones out there making the ecosystem work. It's the wolves, you dumbasses. And it really ticks me off, because the wolves have constant pressure, and they do things, very special things, that help the elk's survival. Look what was happening to Yellowstone. Yellowstone was getting destroyed, and all the elk and deer were dying because there was no wolves. They are freaking keystone species. And I don't want to be disrespectful to hunters. I admire hunters. I think they're amazing. There should absolutely be hunters. I'm 100% in favor of hunters. But you can't be a jerk like that when you can't ignore the biology and the importance of the species of wolves. And you hear stupid people, like I remember Joe Rogan talking about how he was bitching because there's mountain lions around. He's like, why don't we just kill them all? And the wildlife officer's like, because we need them in the ecosystem. They keep a balance. And Joe Rogan's like, but deer are made out of meat. People can just eat them all. Well, stupid, people don't go backcountry like the mountain lions do. And if you take all the mountain lions out, the elk and the deer will go into the ecosystem and destroy it. Back where people don't go, dummy. They're doing things, the pressure that they do, the nature of it, they've been there for millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years for sure. They've been part of this perfect ecosystem that's worked, and we think we can come along in 50 years and screw it all up. Let's kill all the mountain lions. There's no point in them. That's an asinine BS, ridiculous thing. It really ticks me off. People like that don't understand nature, and nature's doing that everywhere. The plants are doing that to each other. The plants are at odds, and they have to be pushing each other and fighting. It's survival of the fittest, and it's so important we have that. It's so important. So another really good question from Facebook was talking about gut instinct. Now, I don't know, empathic ability and psychic ability and feeling your surroundings is very, very real. But even if you're going to refuse that, and even some people can say too, my psychic ability is poor. I put my hand up in the air for that. I'm working on it, and I've been taken out. Like I went out last week in New York, and I could see that Sadie was just doing so well. She was picking up things that it was so impressive. Her empathic ability, her psychic ability, her ability to feel what's going on was just like, I'm in the know where I see a track. It's a slender track. It's a light track. It's a female. She didn't know that. She saw the track and she said female, and she even said pregnant female. And it makes me lean towards the reality of her being right, because how did she know that was a female? She had no knowledge to that. She just looked at a track. It could have been a young male. I know it's a female. So, and she did other things that were very, very perceptive. And Jane Goodall and Diane Fossey were immensely into the psychic ability. But when it comes to your gut instinct, there's something else going on out in the wilderness. Your subconscious mind is powerful. And there's so many rules that are going through your head. Like I could be, sometimes I hike a little too quick, and I'm hiking above my ability to be aware of my surroundings at a heightened level. When I start coming out too quick, it's dangerous. And sometimes I'm pushed to do that, and I don't like it. But what I'm saying is, though, I think that my gut instinct is my subconscious, and it'll pick up things, and I'll get a little cue like, oh, something's wrong. And I remember that happened to me once. It was my gut instinct to slow down, something's wrong. And what happened was there was a mushroom. I slowed down. I actually backtracked. I was like, hold on, I'm not going to push this. Something's really wrong here. And I wasn't feeling anything, but I was thinking something's wrong. So I backed up, and then I looked. There was a mushroom bit. And I looked over, another mushroom bit. A bear was walking down that trail in front of me. So I slowed down because the bear signs were there. And my gut told me, chill out, stop. Don't be worried about the time, and don't worry about your schedule. Focus on survival, focus on your serenity, and become one with nature. Let your subconscious mind go kick some ass, because it's very, very powerful. This is a proven fact. And then work on your ability to feel. I don't even like calling it psychic, because that term has been dragged through the dirt so badly with frauds and fakes to do with just psychic ability, right? I mean, this is very well known that there are tremendous amounts of people that are faking it and being fraudulent about those abilities. So anyways, it's very real. It's the odds of what I've accomplished, the survival that I've accomplished with all the people I've taken out and myself. Like when I talk to the wildlife officers and the police officers, I should be dead 100 times. The odds are 1 in 10 days I go out in the backcountry, I should be injured, and 1 in 50 days I should be killed. Those are the odds. It's very, very dangerous doing the backcountry where I go and what I do. And I've spent over 1,000 days out there, uninjured. And it's no trick. It's simply because I've been very well trained. I've got excellent teachers, and again, my ace up my sleeve is I go into Sasquatch habitat, and it's much safer there. It really is. There's just no doubt about it. Don't think that you're not going to see a bear or a mountain lion or have problems in a Sasquatch habitat. You could get stuck in an avalanche. You could, get lost and die. So there's still obviously a lot of problems, but I'm noting that, in areas where there's just no Sasquatch activity, the bear populations are up, the mountain lions are more prevalent. But I don't see less deer and elk in Sasquatch habitat. I see that is linear. So what's obviously happening is the Sasquatch are, the other big predators, they're not the apex predators. The wolves and the mountain lions and the bears are not apex, the Sasquatch are. And these predators, they can smell a Sasquatch or they get run off by Sasquatch, but it's just the smell. I also do that. You want to hear another little trick? People don't get hurt in my research area by the bears and the mountain lions, because I've spent years out there and I chase those sons of bitches. All the bears and mountain lions are terrified of me. I'll shoot at them and run them off. I make sure they're terrified of me. And I don't play. So I've talked about this before, but now when bears come along, I'll see it the trackway. I've seen one expeditioner 2 years ago. He's like, that bear's like running from you. Like, what the hell? And I told him, I said, I know that bear. 2 years ago, before this, or about a year and a half before that, 2 years, that bear was sniffing around, very curious about me, and I scared the hell out of him. I shot at him and ran his ass off. Now that bear smells me and goes, oh, runs. The olfactory perception is immediately, as soon as you smell something, you think it, and it doesn't relay through the brain. It's like that with animals as well. So he'll smell me, and he'll remember, oh, that's that crazy jerk that is a maniac and shoots at me, and I'm afraid of. So it's happened a lot on my expeditions, and I'm not playing. People need to be safe. Those predators are freaking dangerous, and I will rig everything I can to make sure that people are absolutely safe. And I wish I could do something more. And then the other part of it is just trying really hard to, getting those Sasquatch interactions and stuff. So those are my Facebook questions. I'm freaking hella exhausted, guys. So, but I'm looking forward to a great show. There's Royal Creations. You wanna win me over. Find some hard questions. Watch my documentary. Watch the Survivorman episodes. Learn from anybody about Sasquatch. I think any knowledge you're getting of Sasquatch is amazing. And push me those hard questions, or ask me for a different perspective on those questions. So Northwest Olympic says, hello, elk and deer calving on my ranch with bad leg, just saying here with camera, borders the Olympic National Park. I wonder, I actually, in Nordegg, I tracked a Sasquatch once that killed a deer calf. So do they call fawn? It's a fawn. A deer's a fawn. And yeah, I saw that in the trackway very clearly. It was a young male, maybe I would say 16 years old, and yeah, he ran down and killed a deer fawn and picked it up and walked away with it. So I definitely saw that in the trackway. My first day in Nordegg, I was out there with a total twit who was completely lying to me, had no idea what a real tracker is capable of. The guy was just, I'll even tell you, so he calls me up. I wanted to go out to Nordegg. My area was flooded. Radium was badly flooded that year. I've been wanting to go to Nordegg for years. I don't know why. So I punched it into my emails. I saw this guy come up. So I talked to him, and he said what happened to him is he had camera glasses. I'd never heard of that. And a Sasquatch had charged him, and then it was recording, so the camera fell with his glasses, and they were just sitting out there way in the backcountry somewhere. He said, if we can go get him, we'll get footage. And I was like, that's awesome. So I went out with him, and the area was just hot. There were Sasquatch tracks everywhere. And I was showing him breaks, and I was being a little cautious because I didn't know him very well. And so trying to learn to trust him. So then we're walking down a pathway, and he goes, so this is where I was. And I go, no, you weren't. And he goes, yeah, I was here about 3 weeks ago. And I go, no, you weren't. Where were you? He goes, no, I was walking. I go, so this, and I showed him, I said, this man was here last year. This guy was here about 5 weeks ago. Where's your tracks? He goes, oh, I was just walking in different spots. Really? Well, where were your tracks? He goes, oh, they were just here. Just don't worry about it. And I immediately go, liar. You're a liar. So he'd never been there before. And I could see the way he was looking around. He didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And then we went out and he found the spot. And of course, there were no Sasquatch tracks. He was never there. There was no camera. It was all gone. It was just, he starts saying stupid crap. And I didn't believe a damn word he said after that. But Nordegg, that area of Nordegg was a legitimate smoking hot spot. And so I was tracking around and I was just seeing Sasquatch trackways all over. And I saw that trackway of that Sasquatch that killed the deer. And what happened was the Sasquatch recognized that I was seeing all their tracks. And they're like, who is this punk coming around, following our tracks? Who is this tracker? Even I think it's, they're gonna put me in my place because I'm seeing their trackways and I'm like, wow, I'm walking around the tracks. I'm looking, even I could hear them start coming around and I was paying attention and I was looking over at them and they're like, damn, this guy's paying attention. So anyways, that night, they threw a big boulder down into the creek and, it was funny because the Sasquatch come around. I could hear them for like 20 minutes, and the dumbass that I'm with is having a cigarette. He's just doesn't have a freaking clue about nothing, total BSer. So the Sasquatch finally get close enough, and I could see shadows of them moving around, and they pick up a boulder and they throw it into the creek. When they get me looking one way, they throw the boulder the other, and he hears that a huge boulder, like a 300-pound boulder, goes smashing down the side and bangs into the creek. And he looks at me, and goes, "What was that?" And I went, "Oh, I think it's a squirrel." He goes, "Oh, I didn't know squirrels could do that." Yeah, squirrels can throw 300-pound boulders, you twit. So anyways, so I have seen them, the young ones kill the fawns of deer. So yeah, that one time I definitely saw, and actually that's twice I've seen, maybe 3 times. I've seen deer twice in that the ribs were broken off at the spine, and I saw an elk calf with the ribs broken off at the spine in a Sasquatch habitat, and that's really good. That's good evidence. It's extremely likely. In fact, I'm entirely convinced that only Sasquatch do that. So here's Royal Creations again. Ronald says, "I totally agree with you, Todd. I have learned so much from watching you and your research." Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad. Hey Phil, thanks for tuning in. Hi Andy and Amanda. Andy, what Andy is on here? Who Andy? Andy from Alabama? Oh, hi Andy. Andy Todaro. I guess the reason I was looking for that is I have an announcement to make that I'll have to put on Facebook as well. But I'm going to Alabama. My tickets are bought. I'm going to Alabama to do multiple research pieces out there. And just like we had such good success in New York, I'm going to go try it in Alabama. So I've got, Amanda found some people that are having good success. And then there was a researcher that's went out in the field and saw some significance. So and Alabama is hot. It's a very hot Sasquatch spot. We're the big hope is, so I had a looked like I had a line on these people who say that their father and brother were killed by a Sasquatch and wanted to go talk to them and investigate it. That's not so certain anymore. But there's some other cool things, and we had great success in New York. I had great success in Washington, and I'm gonna go down to Alabama. And then the other thing I'm gonna announce too is it looks like Florida is gonna happen too. So I got all these cool things happening in Florida. Florida is a lot because of, well, there's a researcher that's I'm working with now there, but it's also that the Sasquatch Chronicles. There's a couple of episodes, 690 and 254, are in a particular area, and I found someone brave enough to go in the backcountry. I hope it's not swamp area, but whatever it is, I'll go do it. So. And it's likely to go maybe October. So Alabama, and what's awesome about Alabama is it's hot here. I've been out training in the heat to get acclimated as best I can to high temperatures. But I have an expeditioner from Alabama who's a little skeptical about coming out because it's so freaking hot right now. But you go out there, you fight for it. One of the people I'm going with, he's doing it. He was out there last week. He's coming out next week with me. And you know what? You get heat stroke. What I love about one of the reasons I want to push this is why the person Justin who's going out there. Why would you do this? Why would you He's been out there multiple times. He's sent me evidence. I find it all very convincing. And but why would you do this to fake it? What the hell? There's no purpose to it. I just what I want to do is I want to show people how hard. I want to illustrate how difficult it is and how some people are really busting their hump, putting so much effort into this, the time, the energy, risking their lives for this discovery. And I want to go film him doing that because as far as I'm concerned, that's what he's been doing. It's dangerous what he does. And, heat stroke and delusions and getting lost. And it's even if it's not terribly, terribly dangerous. I don't know if there's bears. I have a lot to learn about the ecology. I'm going to go get my feet wet. I learned about New York State now. Now I know there are black bears, but no brown bears. There's no wolves I saw any sign of. And I didn't see any sign of bears. They're there. I mean, one of the places I was at was it's called Black Bear Town, the town of Black Bear or something. So I'm sure they are around, but I saw no bear signs. That means it's not a healthy population of bears at all. So the ecology is definitely screwed up. But very, very interesting though to think there was Sasquatch sign where there was no black bears, because Jeff Meldrum and I have agreed upon that the way we're going to, wherever there are black bear populations, there can be and there likely is Sasquatch populations. So we have found a spot in New York State where there's not a healthy black bear population. I'm just going to say it. There's not. I didn't see any bear scat. Our food was susceptible to bears prying into it. Nothing. If you came to Canada and you had food around like we had in New York, you can't do it. You just can't. I put my garbage out here where I live, and if it's not closed in a bear-proof container, you wake up in the morning, the bear's torn it all apart. So they'll get it every single time. They have a nose. They're hungry. They're coming for it. So this is a healthy ecosystem here. We have wolves and we have bears and brown bears and elk and deer. So we have quite a healthy ecosystem here where I live. And that is not the case in New York State and the Adirondacks, where I was at specifically. Perhaps deeper in, it's a little healthier. But yeah. So SS, are they aggressive? Are they aggressive in Oregon and Washington? Hey! Don't do that. I just came back home and my beautiful Roddy is a little hyped up. So SS, the question, are they aggressive in Oregon or Washington? Each individual is an individual. So the individual I know about aggressive Sasquatch in Oregon, but you can't make judgments like that. There's probably 1,000 Sasquatch in Oregon. Or maybe more. I don't know. Could be thousands of them. Every individual is a separate personality. You just got to get to know that. And you're talking about these individuals are highly intelligent. It's like saying, are Americans aggressive? Some are peaceful. You cannot make a judgment like that. What you have to do is go out there and figure it out for yourself. If the Sasquatch are consistently aggressive and very angry and extremely hostile towards you, don't go there anymore. Go find a different spot. They don't want you there. And where's that line? Where does it come in? I can't tell you that. You're going to have to go with your gut. You know, when I went to California, that Sasquatch he would kill me if I went back there. I'm not going back there. If there's like angry, hostile, like you felt like your life was in real jeopardy, there's a fine line between, you know, how do I put this? A friendly beating. What happened with me was I worked with the radium Sasquatch and I built a relationship with them, and then they seem to have like accepted me into their troop, putting me in my place by having me. I got slapped around by 3 different Sasquatch, so you know, and I keep going back there, and I have a great relationship with them. So that's one thing, but you, to get to that point, you have to be at a high, you're not going to walk into the bush and they're going to accept you into the troop. That's not going to happen. I had been there for years, and they know I'm there for them. I'm doing good research. I understand what they're communicating to me, and so I worked my way up. And obviously, I wasn't leaving after they did that. Potentially acceptance smack around to put me in my place in the hierarchy of the troop. When I kept coming around, they were good. They were still fun with me, and they were still, you know, they clearly wanted me there, and you know, so that's what I have to say about that. Gang Gump Gaming, why you always pull your shirt? I've noticed. Who cares? It's a habit, so I keep cool that way. So so Terry Thompson says, hey Seth, okay. Rodney Robinson, hey Todd, will take my hat off to you because seeing something like that and really exists is mind-blowing. You're doing a terrific job. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Rodney. Frank says, have you seen joy pertaining to Bigfoot? Yeah, they laughed once at me, just went, hey, and did a laugh. But they you know, I think I feel joy when, I think I feel a lot of joy in them. I feel like there's a couple that are characters that have fun with things. I've actually seen a lot of joy, you know. When I'll be going through the bush and I'll be following an obvious trackway and new tree breaks, and then I see a pile of berries, and I look and I go, did you guys do that for me? And I don't hear anything around. I start eating the berries, and then I hear some, it's like feet on a log going, and I go over, and there's Sasquatch tracks, and there's a log, and I make that sound, and it's feet rubbing on, like, you got it, good Todd, right? So I've seen some very impressive stuff. I was working with a woman a few years ago who was out like playing with them. She was being like a little kid. She was playing with them, and what had happened is the previous day she found a fairy ring of trees. This was in Montana, and she was very impressed with it. There's a reason that happens sometimes. It's just a fairy ring of Rocky Mountain Douglas fir, I think. So anyway, she was impressed with it. She thought it was really cool. So this Sasquatch, these at least two individuals were there, and they were leading her somewhere, and she could see that, and it was fun. And suddenly she found a new set of tree rings, and she got in, and she's like, "Oh my God!" And they were so excited. They were scratching trees and they were bumping things, and because they led her there, and that was very exciting for them, and it was obviously happening. It was so obvious. And then so 2 other things happened in that particular day. Is she had an apple, only 1 apple left that they'd left for her, and she wanted to give it back to them, and she was going after the smaller Sasquatch, and then a bigger Sasquatch went like he wanted the apple, and it scared her. It scared me too. But later on I realized, after giving gorillas carrots, when you give him a carrot, he's excited, he wants another one, he'll go. My Rottweiler will do that when I come home. She'll wag her tail and she'll growl. So Sasquatch do that. Very obvious to me many times since they do that. The other thing that was happening, the second thing that was happening that day, is they wanted to separate me from her. And that's when she was like, no deal, guys. So it was very obvious to her and to me, like I was letting her have her success, but I was still watching her and I was still close to her. And she was doing things that I'm just not capable of. She was being very feminine. She was being very joyful. When a girl talks and she goes, "Hi guys, that's so nice." When I do it, it's still masculine. When a woman does it, it's very gentle, it's very mothering, and boys like girls. You know, boys just like girls. There's just no two ways about it. And the DNA is so freaking close. It's extremely close that we may be the same species. Of course they like girls, and she was very pretty and very brave and very like Snow White. This one with the freaking birds would land on her. Like that's weird stuff, but she just had that wonderful. And there are people like that. I've never seen a man like that. Have you ever even heard of a man that had that Snow White thing? That's a very good point. I'd like to hear, because I've never heard of a guy who could, you know, like have birds land on him and just animals were really relaxed around him. Even if it's a gay guy, I would just like to, I would love to know more about that, because yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's that Snow White thing where I've met half a dozen women in my life that like butterflies will land on them, and that's not normal. And I'm not talking like, oh, butterflies land on this particular woman. Butterflies land on her all the time, you know. So she had a freaking a bald eagle land on her head once. They took a picture of it. She had a hat on. It landed on her hat, and it really scared her. But that's, you know how that is so weird. I shouldn't say weird though. That's not a good word. That is so amazing. That's absolutely outstanding. And that stuff matters. Oh my God, that stuff matters. That makes a big difference. When you have that animal loving, passionate, feminine quality, it really, really matters. So, and that's why I look for that with this research. So yeah, very important stuff. Best primatologists of all time: Dian Fossey, Jane Goodall, Brudy Gattagus. Orangutans, chimpanzees, gorillas. Those are the best of all time. So, Andy says, Todd, do you still believe Gigantopithecus? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Gigantopithecus is the Yeti today. They're the descendants of it, and the Yeti are related to Sasquatch, or Bigfoot, the same way like black bears in China are related to black bears in North America. I think they could breed and produce viable offspring. Very different behaviors, you know, obviously different looking species or a different looking subspecies, but I think they could interbreed, and I think it's the same thing with Yetis and Sasquatch. So good question, John. Oh, John says, Portland, Oregon here. What size of teeth do Sasquatch have? Oh, thank you, Amanda. See, Amanda, that's good. Do that. I'll pop back up because I missed that question. Are they sharper edged like a shark, or more grinding for mass eating of meat and berries? What do I know about their teeth? I remember the greatest piece of footage I ever got was when that bear was going to come and charge at me, and Jake was trying to get me to turn around. I remember looking through my camera at Jake's teeth. I zoomed in on everything. I zoomed in on his feet, his knees, his legs. That piece of footage would have convinced the world Sasquatch is real. But when the bear charged at me and attacked me, I spun around, fell in the water, dropped my camera. However, that was the best look at Sasquatch teeth I ever had. And I remember when Jake, he would go, and his lip would kind of move up, and I could see his teeth. They looked very flat, and I could see that he had the incisors, but they weren't any, the incisors were no different than people, but his teeth looked really square and just nicely placed. I wouldn't say there were spaces in between them much. Actually, I think they were spaced a little more than humans. They weren't tight. They were, like my teeth are pretty tight. They weren't tight like that. They were spaced out, and his mouth was so wide. It's really wide, like it's huge. His teeth are probably twice the size of mine. I can't say for sure because I don't have that footage. I would love to analyze it, but I would say just based on my knowledge of how big Jake's head actually is, how enormous he is. Like Jake's head is like that big, guys. When I blended the proper sizes, his head is what did I say, 14 inches? And that's not even right. It was more like 16. I was really conservative in my numbers, horrifically conservative. And I have these young guys, like this crypto guy on Facebook. Like I always told people that the video 3 Sasquatch is, what was I saying, 8'9" or something? That's wrong. I knew I was being conservative. And now they've got him at like 10 feet, and that's right. I was there, guys. I saw it. I just don't, I want to underpromise and overdeliver. And it's so hard to attract people to get to work with this. You go saying they're 10 feet tall and people just like, I actually lost a primatologist that I was really excited to work with. She wouldn't even talk to me. She saw video 6. That's where the Sasquatch has his back to me. And then a log gets thrown at me. And she saw me jump. She said, come outside. I want you to jump on the side of this trailer so we can see how high that thing. And I didn't want to do it. I was like, no. She goes, yes. So I jumped and she goes, that's like 9'6". I went, I know. She goes, there's no 9'6" primates out here. I'm sorry, but I'm done. So I'm trying to create a paradigm shift. And I feel like that was just a bad day. You know, I took her on an expedition, and there are the reasons that she quit anyways. She saw how big the bears are, and the bears were all around, and she just wanted to go home. So she was quitting because of other fears. But I want to, it's a frog in hot water. I do want this discovery recognized. I want it acknowledged. It's immensely important to me. And so I don't want to go. And then you get people saying 15 feet tall Sasquatch. I mean, come on. Even I'm going, no, please. If they're that big somewhere, just don't talk about it. Just leave it alone. Because, oh my God. Nottingham, England. How's it going? Devon Freeman. If you see Bigfoot all the time, why don't you film them in full body version? Well, I get these questions all the time. They're so ridiculous. I don't see them all the time, but I get fleeting glances of them. And I love it when people complain about my footage. These are the facts. You want to hear some facts? They're real. And I'm an expert with my camera. And I'm doing the best I can to get footage. But I need to make the discovery move forward and have success. So nobody ever heard of anybody who had 2 videos? I have freaking 8, 9, 10 now. 11, I think. So what are you complaining about? You want better footage? Well, I'll tell you what. This is what I like to do to people. You go get some footage, and then we'll compare footage, and then you can complain. When you get better footage than me, I love this. This is the BFRO does this to me, and you're the mighty BFRO. Oh, hail the BFRO. How many Sasquatch videos do you guys have? None. 0. You have nothing. The videos that they have, they got from other people. There's a couple they have that are very interesting. I don't mean to be slagging anybody, but they started it. Well, how come you don't get better footage? Well, how come you don't have any footage? Apparently you have 1,000 card-carrying members across North America. You guys have 0.00 footage. I have 11 videos and counting. So I'm doing the best I can. And I'll tell you, this will help you understand. Survivor Man he's a very talented filmmaker. He spent half of his life being a filmmaker. He's an extremely talented director, producer, writer. Extremely talented. And he talked about it in the show. He's like, you just can't, when you understand the reality of what it takes, even it's an ignorant thing to say, honestly, because to get a good shot, like, you have to have the focus, you have to have the lighting, you have to have the exposure, you have to have the zoom properly, all those things. And by the time you get a shot, and it doesn't work. So it's extremely difficult. And again, let's go back to the fundamental truth. Sasquatch are real. Done. They're real. If you're still in doubt about it, look at the evidence. I don't know what to tell you. I will go into a court of law and I will prove ridiculously beyond a reasonable doubt they're real. There are thousands of witnesses of the highest caliber. There's DNA. There's so much video evidence, and there's not so much video, but the evidence in the DNA, the tracks, the dermal ridges, it's so overwhelming. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. We don't accept this species. So fact 2 is what the Patterson footage is definitely real. And I don't know about a lot of the other footage. Some of it I'm on the fence about. Paul Freeman footage, I don't know. Paul Freeman faked he faked a handprint. I know that for sure. So is this footage real? I don't know. How come there's not more? I don't know. There's cameras everywhere now. Cameras are highly accessible. It's not getting done. So try to give me a little respect, because I have 11 freaking videos and counting. And I want to get more. I'm doing the best I can. And if you don't think it's good enough, go find somebody better. Who do you know that has 2, 3 videos? Ever heard of that? So, I don't know what else to say about that. But I am devoted, and I really work hard for it. And for God's sake, like video 3, I think I wonder if that's the best piece of evidence I have. with the new stuff coming out with Video 3, I mean, there are people that are analyzing it, and there's lots of really new things coming out. But how the hell did I get it's a 10-foot tall biped running faster than the fastest man on the planet? It's not possible. It's preposterously stupid to think there is no 10-foot tall actor. Well, you say just put him in stilts. Okay, put him in stilts and have him run up the side of a mountain through the bush. Right? You're going to break your leg. That's ridiculous. Stilts are extremely difficult to walk on. You can't run on stilts through the bush. Come on. Like, who's being a dumbass now? It's ridiculous. And I always knew Video 3 was a tremendous piece of evidence, because it's either a man in a suit or it's a new species. Nothing moves bipedally like that fast, nothing. And when you take out, it can't be a man in a suit because A, it's too big, and B, no man can run that fast. And I can't build a robot yet. There's no technology to build a Sasquatch robot that can run through dense bush. It can't happen. So if you remove all possibilities, whatever you're left with, however impossible, must be the truth. Sherlock Holmes, something like that. It's not a man in a suit. What is it? Answer, new species, Sasquatch are real. And don't believe me, look at the DNA. Look at what Jeff Meldrum's done with the feet being accepted as from a real species. So, my goodness, yeah. So Breakthrough Book says, Andy, what is far more likely is that it's an offshoot which is much, much more closely related. I personally believe it's an offshoot from habilis before Neanderthal, Devonian. Yeah, well, the DNA is a complicated subject, but there really is... the knowledge is out there in the DNA if you want to look into that more. For goodness sake, I think, look at this. So I'll pick it up here. So an expeditioner came out with this to show me this. So this was a medical doctor. Novel North American hominids. So this is the DNA study right here. This is the paperwork for it. So the real DNA that's done by multiple different labs that are all highly respected, the Sasquatch, that should have been the end of it right there. It should have been done. Have a good day. The species exists. Why don't we do it? Conspiracies and all those things are real. The conspiracies are real. The cover-ups are real. However, you don't take something that's paranormal, because this is paranormal. It's a not accepted reality, and then add a conspiracy to it. It's just making it worse, and I don't want to do that. So the truth is, the research is moving forward. The discovery can happen. I want somebody to do it. Somebody, somewhere. I just want this discovery done. Todd, when do you plan on going back to visit the group you're most familiar with? This month. So I just had my butt handed to me on so many levels with all the crap going on in the world right now that I'm just things have been devastatingly difficult for me. So I'm behind, but I have every intention. I'm going to start negotiating that stuff right now. So probably in a couple weeks after Alabama, I'm going to go back to Radium, which is the place I have the most success. So hi from Kentucky. Hello, Kentucky. Hi, Todd. I've had activity where I live, right beside a large nature preserve, tracks and other things. Very exciting. Isn't that very exciting? Congratulations. So keep at it. If there's, watch my movie, watch the Survivor Man episodes. I wish you tremendous success. Please, Ronald, my goodness, I will get an autographed picture of you if you can go make this discovery happen. I really, I want to tell people I'm just nothing special. There's nothing that I do that other people can't do. Work hard, devote yourself to it. And that's all I have to say about that. Go kick some butt and make this discovery happen. Some miracle can happen. And I wish that success on every researcher that's watching this video. If you're out there, I really tremendously wish you success. I want you to get this done. And I hope you get tremendous success. I hope somebody gets, I'd be so happy if this could just get finished. Todd, please check out Mark Barton's video on Sasquatch Chronicle. Okay, thank you for that. Nathan King, you were recently in the Adirondacks, that's correct. There's a parcel of land going up for sale, 50 miles to Air John Deere dollars in her 90s, looking to sell the undeveloped. Yeah, there's no way. I won't be buying that land, but if you want to buy it, that's fantastic. I'm sure it'll pay off spades in you. So I'm still I'm still using old batteries, and I have one camera left. Everything's busted, and I'm, you know, budgets are tight. There's no way. I rent the place I live in. I'm not buying 50 acres, but cool. Lots of smiley faces here. I can't turn on the history of Sasquatch. Most new excited. I also know many stick structures are, how they're communicating when they're missing. So I'm a little confused by that question, but I wanted to talk about when you hear a Sasquatch call, there's no way they don't know you're there. And I don't think they're communicating amongst themselves. I think it's for people. In fact, I don't see any reason why they would need to communicate amongst themselves. They know where they are. I think they're connected to one another. They're not going to be yelling out. When you hear a Sasquatch call, it's for you. It's for people. They're calling to you. Don't think they're trying to communicate amongst themselves. And I say that, like I was just talking to a lady today about it, and I really, maybe if you hear them way off, like that Clem 2 video from, what is that, the 80s? I think those are Sasquatch having fun amongst themselves. So there's going to be times where they do, but I think the majority of the time they're calling to people. They're telling you that they're there. They're communicating with you. And there's not one time I've heard a Sasquatch make any kind of sounds that wasn't for me. On an expedition last year, we heard like a male call and a female call. And the expeditioner that I was with said, "Oh, wow, they're talking to each other." I went, "There's no way. That audio is coming to us. It's pointed at us. They're talking to us." So, and I made a Sasquatch call, not a call, but I made up my call, what I do. And then, 10, 15 minutes later, they responded. They were responding to me. That's not communication amongst themselves. They know where they are. They know what's going on. So, hey, Ashley from Washington. I'm sorry, guys. I'm feeling really sick today. So I'm going to have to cut this short. I'll just do one more question. Billy Bob says, "Honestly, sir, you're sharing infinite knowledge." Thank you so much, Billy Bob. You receive Nobel Peace Prize. That's funny. I was in Sweden and I was talking to people to come out and do some research here. But Ashley, do you think you'll do any research in Yes, Ashley, I'm coming to Washington this year in November. Pretty much a done deal. It's that awesome Larry Buzzle dude. He's just freaking amazing, and his wife Analia. I got to come to Washington this year, so I really, really want to. But sorry, guys, my stomach's killing me, and I got to go. So thank you so much for tuning in. More videos coming. The live shows are gonna. Next week, I'll be in Alabama. So I'm not gonna give an exact date, but there's a good chance the next live show is from Alabama, and there's gonna be something coming up Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I'll do like I did in the Adirondacks, where I couldn't do a live show, so I just did a video and uploaded it. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Oh, sorry.